Live on Facebook.
The best thing was what happened to what's his face from Vox.
A couple of video game reviewers. They've been demonetized.
Yeah, I've heard.
One guy,
Somebody brought that
It
up.
happened to
Prince Clean. I think he got completely.
Like he was like, wasn't he,
got-
sent titles
Yeah, he
to
got
review?
blacklisted. So not anymore. Yeah.
It happened to World War II historians making videos about Hitler on YouTube.
That is
Like it's
totally.
it's so dumb.
That's like the demonetized, but like.
It's
like
so
when,
dumb.
Well, I mean, these people's job is to review games, and now
Yeah.
he can't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it's
and
just-
it's de facto censorship. It's not even like the government stepping in. It's
Well,
corporations.
that's really kind of like what we talked about last week was the.
Should platforms
It's-
do it if the government wouldn't do it?
Platforms should never.
I
should
would
never.
agree.
I think we all agree.
Censorship is up to the content provider.
What episode is this?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Whereas,
56, I believe.
YouTube isn't a
37?
content provider.
We just-
Yeah,
Shut your
so
mouth.
like,
Did you say 56?
Yeah.
That's our year anniversary episode.
Our
it is
year
not.
anniversary.
Yeah, man. There's
episode.
56
These guys-
weeks
For
in
the
a
last
year.
8 weeks, it's been
We
our
need to
year
be.
anniversary.
Facebook needs to censor us because we're idiots.
No, we have.
I am
one
not an idiot.
We have one idiot.
Which one of us is it?
The guy who thinks it's episode 37 of the week.
Every
and,
week.
and the other guy who thinks it's been a year.
It's our
Year anniversary for the last 8 weeks.
So as you can see, we've changed it once again, and that's because it is incredibly hot in here. So we thought Incredibly? that if it's very hot, we thought if we were in closer proximity to one another, it might help alleviate the heat.
Not that. We thought that being next to this
Don't blow our cover, Jake.
AC,
We're huddling underneath a really crappy air conditioner.
It's not working.
Are you gonna get a new one?
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
You should get a new one.
You should get a new one.
You know what you should do? Call your landlord.
And he'll get a new one.
he'll get a new one. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I
Hey,
cannot.
all right, so
AC is
so where,
Central
where we're
AC
at
is
right
not
now
considered a,
is the AC is not working, right?
Yeah.
So if you called him and he said no, where are you at? AC not
said-
working,
yeah.
so you can take a different
with
step.
an angry landlord potentially.
Oh, so your landlord's not perpetually angry?
I will point we'll talk about this after
He
the
is the
show.
landlord.
AC is not a.
He watches
it's
us.
not like mandatory. He does not have to provide.
What if he's an avid watcher of this show?
He definitely is. And we're talking about air conditioning, not alternating current for you AC DC nerds.
And you know, I guess you could always just
Unbelievable.
That was
Buy,
really
you could
dumb.
always just buy.
Thank you.
What a bad joke.
That was really
Wasn't a
dumb.
joke, bro. It was true. We're talking about air conditioning. Does anybody know what alternating current or direct? Like, do we know what that is? Alternating current.
That's where
direct
you
current?
change.
We do,
it.
yes.
That
I
is
learned, I learned
it's
it
a rock
in high
band.
school.
Rock band. From
What is
Rock
it?
band.
Which one do we use?
AC/DC.
Yeah,
Shut
exactly. Thank you.
We use
Alternating
both.
What
current,
about
direct current.
birds?
What? Which one do we use?
Both.
And what? Like,
you
What do you
serious?
mean?
Do we use both?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Oh,
it
that was a
depends.
serious question?
It depends.
Yeah, dude, I don't
it
know.
depends on the hookup. Like,
Well, the house gets AC.
Yeah.
But or your building gets AC. But most of the stuff here.
no, our building does
runs on
not get
DC.
AC at the moment. Just
Air
to be-
conditioning.
Alternating current.
But most cars though
Maybe
they
it
use
does have air
direct
conditioning.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that a serious question? Yeah.
I didn't know you didn't like.
No,
we
yeah,
learned that in elementary school.
No, listen. I didn't learn.
What's up,
we
Chris?
I was never taught how to tell time on a
You
clock.
didn't see
I
the
had to teach
pictures? Don't
myself,
remember the
so.
pictures with like the
You didn't teach
batteries
yourself
and
very
you got
well.
To
all,
be
like,
fair,
that's
that was
fair.
really easy.
That's fair. But
Hey, you know
still-
what's really easy
still
too?
wasn't taught in
Actually, it's
public
not
school.
really easy, but they don't teach you in school how to buy a house.
Yeah.
Or do your
What?
taxes.
Yeah, yeah.
In a matter of
Oh, why
5
don't they
minutes,
teach
we
you
tangent
meaningful
from
things?
platform censoring to buying a
Now,
house.
Jake, let me.
In a matter of
and
5
Jake,
minutes.
let me intervene
Education.
here. To be fair, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That's
you
a
seen that?
fantastic.
Have
You
seen
know,
that
the
rap?
thing is that none of us
No.
can refute
Hey,
that.
you haven't seen that rap?
No.
So someone like it was a project, and he made a rap about that, the mitochondria being the, and it was like all scientific stuff, but he did it in a rap. And it was,
So he did like your 6th grade science teacher rap. Is that what it was?
no, it was like a real rap.
You,
Like,
you ever see that one
like
rapping
with
for
real
Jesus?
lines, and like it wasn't like
And bad words.
it wasn't bad
words.
words.
I can't say the words they say. So
Not every rap song has bad words.
All right, so
That
we got people
challenge.
coming in.
I think that's factually untrue.
yeah, I challenge you.
We got people coming in the show.
It's not qualified as being rap anymore.
I think
Dirtbag
so.
Darian has joined.
Dirtbag Darian shots.
Hey, Amory's on there.
I love the
Amory's
name.
watching. She's never
Sure
watched
wa-
before. I wonder
It's
if
'cause you're here.
she's watching.
She
because of
literally just liked the page so she could see me on camera. You're welcome.
One more viewer.
We're gonna top 10.
So I like
Top
I like
10.
how
Top 10 on YouTube, man.
this basketball thing is like rising, and all these people are talking crap. Darian, Perkle, everyone thinks they can just be the best.
They're gonna be.
Listen,
the
man,
very best.
They're all ball.
Like no one ever was.
the best. Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
one of you other people on the show to commit to doing this.
I
So-
said I'll show up.
Dude, I told you. You
I
get
will
me some
cheer on.
shoes.
Brad,
Aw.
it's not
Talk.
looking good.
Well,
What?
neither
Banner from the page.
Banner from the page.
Silencer. We need to segue into our censorship talk by banning that woman. We need to,
No, no.
I don't like what she says. It hurts my feelings. I
he's
need
gonna-
to-
he's gonna-
we have no room for talk like
You're
that
gonna
on
pin
our
the
show.
comment
We
instead.
should not.
Talking
We should
about
not be
love.
subject to
I
that.
didn't see the.
Oh, hi Newt. Hi Dante. Shout out.
You met Newt yet?
No,
Who's
He's,
new?
he's a dog.
I never
Yeah.
get invited over there.
Ironically, he's not an
Shut
amphibian.
Are you kidding me?
Shut the front door.
So okay, we had a really good talk last week about about censorship. I thought we had some good opinions. Brad was watching from
Ohio.
Sandusky,
Yep.
Ohio.
Why don't you just call in?
Honestly, Andrew,
'Cause
we're
I was
not
ri-
entirely sure
I
yet.
was riding
We're
water
thinking
slides.
about getting back into the deplatforming that we were ending the week on
Wait.
last week.
That's in Sandusky.
Kalahari, yeah.
Yeah, no, dude.
How
it's
do
like,
you manage
It's like
this?
super close to.
I just
It's
kind of
hard.
let people have their
your point?
voice, and then I just talk louder, hoping that
I
it.
feel like you need a stick.
Yeah, or a laser pointer, or a spray bottle.
We need
Yeah.
we need a one of those like talking sticks. You can't talk unless you get past the stick.
That's a good
Somebody
Wait,
call
you
idea.
have the
somebody call
microphone?
Massetti.
There's no way that's
Good
gonna
idea.
work.
You can do that with a
Or
microphone.
here's an idea, guys. We could
do
just
one
like,
microphone.
Be civil.
We could just be civil and have
basically
one
a
person
talking stick.
speaking at
Yeah.
a time. I can't
As
even
you
get
said-
this point out without.
Yeah, as you said that, Brad was like,
I'm sorry, I was
ignoring
having
it.
a conversation
No.
with Tony. I
Yeah,
thought it was-
that's kind of the problem.
Yeah, we need to
I
not do that.
I thought it was kind of funny that a microphone is basically a talking stick anyway.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
just pass the microphone around.
Thanks for ruining.
this is
everything.
the episode of Bad Jokes, everybody.
Tim's checked out.
No, I'm not checking. I'm giving everybody their time. All right, so the censorship thing, deplatforming. So we started off with it, and then we got into the mitochondria, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna bring it back around now.
Anybody play any good board games lately?
Unbelievable.
You guys watch Game of
All right,
Thrones?
so where are we starting?
Yeah, we just want to talk about
I
Game
told
of
you.
Thrones.
Okay,
You
so
saw the
actually-
last time. I'm not doing this again.
So actually, like when we were starting the episode, like just going live, we started talking about like the deplatforming thing, and Tony had mentioned that no platform should ever be able to do that, and I think that I agree.
Can we
I-
define
I-
what we mean by platform?
yeah, I was about to say.
Okay,
definitions
that's
are
fair.
important.
So take Patreon. Like Patreon, for example, they are able to defund people if they do things on like their channel or whatever it is that they are being monetized for. If they do something that Patreon doesn't like they can pull the plug.
I think you have to.
I
have
think that's wrong.
I think you have to have some guidelines.
Well, I mean,
Like Twitch and YouTube will obviously have no nudity clauses.
Yeah.
Which I think if you're going to
And you know what?
well, you say obviously, but I don't agree with that. Like, I think that it's on the content provider who is responsible for.
When you say content provider, are you talking about the creator?
the creators.
Okay.
Because if they're a platform, they're a medium for creators. It's not like a newspaper.
it's not
right?
their job to say.
So
yeah,
a
right, it's not
newspaper
YouTube's
is a
opinion.
provider. It's
Tony.
not a platform.
Right. So
Can
if
you
Al-
pick them both up well on the mic?
It's rough, but yeah.
No,
Okay.
no, I got a question because I'm kind of torn on this issue in some areas. So let's take some sort of forum.
Is
For
this better,
instance,
Tony?
that's a platform,
Yeah.
right? Let's
it's
say
better for me.
Let's say it's a forum for a specific group of people. Let's say it's a Christian forum for people to talk about their faith. Would it be okay for the owner of that platform to deplatform people there who are trolling, for instance?
So I mean, it's up to the platform to make the rules. What the
Okay.
problem
Okay.
that Facebook and YouTube are having right now is they're not defining what those rules are,
Well,
which is
okay.
kind of like de facto censorship.
Because I have no.
and
I
it has a clear effect of ruining people's jobs.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely, absolutely. See, and when it comes to private censorship, because this is what we're talking about, is private censorship. In terms of some platforms, I can be okay with some things being deplatformed. Like you were talking about nudity earlier. If whoever owns that platform doesn't want nudity there, they have every right to get rid of it and
Yeah,
strike it.
no.
But
As
it
long
needs
as
to
that's
be-
in the terms of.
So
in
when I
terms
sign
of
up
use.
for it as a content provider,
at
it
least
should be I should be known
Exactly.
that I can't do.
Well,
this.
but
there,
I
there
th- I
does
think-
need to be an agreement.
I
there.
think
exactly.
the issue we're running into is when YouTube comes out, right? So like, I've created 2 YouTube channels, right? And I don't remember ever reading anything of their guidelines, right? And most people don't, right? You're like, agree.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you look at what's been aggregated on YouTube, right? So for how long has YouTube been around? About 10 years now?
15,
Longer.
15 years? Okay,
15 or
so
20.
for 98% of that time, people could do whatever they wanted,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now it's just all of a sudden that things are getting broken
Well,
down.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Well,
They
okay,
could
so,
have.
like, I guess the
it's
point I'm
just-
making
it's
is when-
hitting the main line now because it's
So big.
It's so
Right.
big.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess I'm like you guys said. You mentioned nudity, right? So like if you get on Twitter, there's nudity on Twitter. So it's a reasonable assumption that you could post nudity on Twitter, right? So if you posted nudity and then got banned, you'd be like, well, what's
Well, you see,
That's the
you can,
biggest
you can
problem.
post nude videos on YouTube. You'll get demonetized
Well,
They'll
I
get
think
taken
they'll-
down.
I
I
think-
think
they'll
they'll
take-
take that video down.
eventually. But it's,
Yeah.
it's I mean, but it's the same thing on like Facebook, right? You can post whatever you want. But eventually, it'll
right.
take
But
you
I mean that defeats the like especially like all the work that can go into a YouTube video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you make this pornapalooza and you're like, I'm going to broadcast myself, and they you know.
we don't want to scare people away.
I just
Right.
want to highlight the term pornapalooza.
Keep that in your back pocket. So I guess what I'm saying is like, take me off my game. You're seeing the climate. You're seeing the climate of what's being posted. You know what I mean? Like political commentary, right? YouTube's been used for political commentary probably since day 2.
It's hitting a peak probably this
Well, sure,
past couple of years.
sure, but like we talked about this last week, only one side of that is getting shut down for the most part. I can't think of any left-leaning outlets that have been or hit.
Name one that isn't a financial institution.
That's true.
I can't find any. I mean, I like
What
to
do you
be,
mean financial institution?
So, like, where's the independent creators on the liberal front?
You brought that up to me a couple
You
months
could
ago.
say
That's a-
Vox started that way, but they quite fastly got
yeah, but doesn't
bought up.
MSNBC own them?
Yeah, now they do.
They're owned by
But I'm
owned
saying
by
they,
big
they might have been
conglomerates.
independent at first, but like, usually when they get big enough, they just get bought out by
The Young
these bigger
Turks are
ones.
the only thing I can think of.
They're owned by YouTube.
YouTube
they?
owns Young Turks.
I believe so.
Really?
I'll
I don't think
I'll
YouTube
double
owns
check
it.
that.
What's up, Eli?
I'll double check that.
Whoa, now you want to talk about? Whoa,
That's wow.
So-
That's funny.
you're telling me that
the
ideas
point,
are
the point is that
fairly shared if the Young Turks are owned by YouTube. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm actually not entirely sure what the Young Turks is.
Remember that debate we watched the
Yeah.
other day? That
You said go ahead.
he owns the Young Turks.
Yeah, but we can come back.
It's
to it.
it's a very left
It's a
organization.
It's
Go
a,
ahead.
it's a
Yeah,
news
go ahead.
channel. It's a
But
news
no,
channel.
really, I think there's central and Jesus, man.
Don't just
Yeah,
put
stick
it
it
in
down
his
my
face
throat.
like that. Whoa.
Tap him
um,
on the shoulder first.
It's easy to find central or right independent creators. Like they're a dime a dozen right
Yeah.
now, and they're all being demonetized. Right? Where's the opposition to that? Where's the intelligent conversationalist on the left?
I think most
That's
of
not
them
being-
probably are in the center because
that's
of the
not
way the
being-
paradigm shifted.
Well, it's not being
To be
pushed
honest.
by an agenda like overarching
Yeah.
studio.
I would,
Yeah,
I would probably,
like
I probably have to
MSNBC.
agree with Tim on that. I think a lot of those people have been pushed to the right. So take Dave Rubin, who's a fairly popular left-leaning gay content creator.
I had no idea he was gay, by the way.
Oh, really?
I mean, not.
What is
not
gay
just
Why
content?
does it matter?
Because
It
usually,
doesn't.
Gay
That's what
means
was
liberal.
fantastic about
well,
it.
usually you think
Gay
usually
doesn't,
gay
stereotype.
people
gay
are
doesn't
liberal.
mean liberal.
It usually
No.
does.
No, but he was. You know,
Don't be
Dave Rubin is, right?
stereotypical, man.
But that's
That's-
what it
that's
is.
not- that's
So
not
the point I'm trying to
stereotypical.
make, is that
There's-
just because he's gay does not mean
No,
he's liberal.
definitely doesn't matter.
know,
But he
yeah.
was he worked for the Young Turks actually.
Okay.
Yes.
And I don't remember exactly like what actually wasn't Larry Elder his like red pill moment.
It
He
was
talking
one
to
of
Larry
them.
Elder
Yeah,
about
he was talking about racism. Yeah, and
institutional
Larry,
racism.
yeah.
And Larry Elder's like, bro, where is
But-
it?
but
And
any-
he's like stumbling because here's this black dude across from him, like telling him there's no institutional racism, and he's like, how do I? You know what I mean? You know, because he worked on the sliding scale of oppression, right? So like, he's
Yeah.
a black guy, but I'm a gay white guy, so I'm like, he's got more points than me. So if he's telling me that there's no institutional racism, you know what I'm saying? So it like froze him in his tracks.
So
Anyway, what I was saying though is that Dave Rubin has been pushed towards the right in terms of just who he is and what he says, simply because of
The way the paradigm has shifted.
exactly.
Like everything
And
has
so
gotten
it's-
so radical.
And
Well,
so
it's not even
I
that,
don't know.
like,
I don't
you're
know
gonna-
if I would necessarily consider Dave Rubin a liberal anymore.
I would say that it's like if you're even center or moderate, even moderate left, like you might be recognized as right now.
Yeah.
I think that is a much more accurate statement.
If you're not
That-
if you're
that
not
might be-
radical
yeah.
left, you're basically conservative.
You know, actually, I was
Wow.
talking to Amory earlier, right? And I was like, she's like, "What are you guys going to talk about?" I'm like, "I have no idea, but it's going to devolve into a political debate." She's like, "I'll watch for the first 10 minutes, and I'm
it
checking
didn't even
out."
devolve. We were just like, all right, guys, let's dive in.
Yeah, so it looks like Young Turks is not owned by YouTube.
Okay.
They were looked at by YouTube to be like an official news outlet
Tony
for
is wrong
YouTube.
for
that
once.
would have been rough.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because they were looked at. But their funding is pretty heavy. I'm checking into where that's from still.
Well, I mean, I'm totally okay with it, but like if YouTube did own them and then are like, all right, Steven Crowder,
Yeah,
you're
pretty
not
much the
getting nothing,
political
bro.
hour.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not Well, Eli, what's your? I mean,
I
what
don't
are your
know
thoughts
if
on
you,
censorship?
I don't know
Like,
if YouTube does YouTube own channels like.
Well, Google owns YouTube, so like.
Well, I'm saying, does
yeah.
YouTube own any
Well, anything-
channels on their platform?
I mean,
Um,
I
anything on
probably
YouTube
own
Red.
everything, don't they?
I think so, right?
Don't
Why
they
wouldn't
technically own everything?
Yeah, I was about to say they
Yeah,
technically
YouTube-
have a share in just about everything on YouTube, which
Yeah.
is why they can do it because they
YouTube
pay
Red
their content creators.
is a paid service.
Right. As
Yeah.
far as what
So-
they...
So
pr-
that's their
they have a
that's
financial
like, but that's like
backing.
Netflix exclusive stuff. Like, I guess I'm wondering, is there any like creators like the Young Turks or Steven Crowder or creators like them that are owned by YouTube?
I'm not aware of any. I know they do put out videos for creators, and they're like...
By the way, it is,
Yeah, well, there's YouTube. Yeah, but they have these videos for creators on like how not to break copyright law and all that stuff, and it's like they'll have like puppets and stuff. It's just like
Instructions.
super didactic. It's just a pain to watch.
Dude, the copyright stuff always has driven me nuts. It's like we had a video on our channel that we played tech,
Yeah.
and somebody was listening to music in the background, and you couldn't
It
even
was
barely
very
hear it.
faint.
Oh, do you know what it
And
was
they-
or the artist?
No, but so it's not the same for all artists.
No, it's not the same for all artists. And actually, that was one thing that
Wait,
I was going to bring up
Our
in
video
the
couldn't be monetized.
Okay.
Not that we made any money off it, period. But like, what's
yeah.
that?
That was another thing I was going to bring up in on the topic of platform or kind of censorship, but so like it's not all political. There was in 2008 there was a fire at Universal Music Group, and a bunch of masters were lost. The tapes, the reel-to-reel tapes that like before they're mastered, it's weird. They're still called masters. There was a fire and they burned. For a lot of artists, like something like I forget, like over 1,000 artists, like many people you've heard of. More of this information didn't come out until like this year, last year. A lot of these
do it
artists,
at
their
once.
masters are gone, so they can't prove who owns the rights to the music. But one of the people who reported on this, I don't know if you're familiar with Rick Beato. If you do anything with music,
No.
you probably are. He's a pretty big content creator. He's a retired producer. He now does content creation. He put out a video on like what this means for the music industry. He usually gets like 100,000 views in the first day. He got like 5,000 views on his first day, and the video was like titled UMG Fire. UMG has this huge contract with YouTube, and it really looks like they throttled it.
They throttled him. Is that what you said?
Throttled,
Right,
prevented
like
it
they
from
didn't-
getting out.
They didn't censor him outright,
Right.
but they didn't. I know that's another big thing that YouTube does. They make it so your video doesn't show up.
Right.
Right. So they don't demonetize you. It's like a shadow ban, I think they call it.
Yeah,
Well, it's your search algorithms.
Yeah.
So you have to have so many subscribers, you have to have so many comments, so
Right.
many likes before it even
yeah.
shows up in the algorithm.
But yeah, UMG is a big blocker. If anything from them shows up, it gets blocked immediately, and you can't make money on it, or it'll get taken down entirely.
To me, that's pretty nefarious. You know what I mean? Like to just, well, we don't want this guy to be, if it's not neutral.
So this is
I
PewDiePie
completely
touched on
agree.
this kind of something like that a while ago, because everyone's always wondering why PewDiePie videos don't get trending. And he says that like all of his videos get millions of views within the first 12 hours. So like it's
We've had that problem before
it's
too
not
with our
it's
channel.
not yeah. But so it's not really trending when it's just basically his audience that's just watching. He has a big
Right.
audience. So like it's not trending because it's not
Is it because
different.
it's not attached or new people aren't watching it necessarily?
That might be part of it, but it's also just like it's not new to his videos. So like they're not trending in a
Jimmy
different
Kimmel
way.
stuff's trending all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can have 1 million people watch a video at one time. That doesn't mean they're sharing it. That doesn't mean they're commenting on it. Doesn't mean it's going viral. It just means
They're
the
watching it.
people who said they were going to watch it are
Right.
watching it. Like I wanted to bring
That's a
up
good
too.
point.
You brought up Steven Crowder before or earlier, right? Well, most of his stuff is demonetized.
All
He
of it is
still,
now.
Yeah, he still makes money.
Well, yeah, he set up his
so
own.
but the point is, YouTube is still his platform, but it's not how he makes his living.
Right.
It's just how he gets his content out.
There's
And that's
cer-
how
there's
he gets
certainly,
people to
That's
how
sign
he
up
gets new
for
There's
his.
more people
Yeah.
using YouTube than like Vimeo, for instance, right?
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
But there are other.
it's better exposure.
There are other avenues.
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
like
he-
he has a subscription service through
Yeah.
his own website, so people like
Yeah.
pay him directly.
I'm
Well,
a
yeah.
twisted
It
nipple.
goes through it goes through
Uh,
CRTV. Well, Blaze TV now. It used to be
Yeah.
CRTV.
I would say if you want to make a
Um,
serious living, like it's important to use Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and stuff to like get content out there, but to have your own
Yeah.
kind of.
And a lot of these
service.
creators are doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
they have
also
your own
think like
platform, yeah.
people aren't making a ton of their money from the YouTube revenue. Like
They
YouTube
were.
revenue isn't
Well,
Well,
like
they were.
It's
They were.
not
Look
what-
at
Somewhere.
Comic Book Girl 19. She's pretty much had to shut down her channel.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
Right,
the
but
same.
for
I mean,
what purpose?
I'm
Because,
sure they're getting
there's
from
some
other
there's some
outlets. I'm
background
saying.
stuff with Marvel.
Okay.
She
well, League of
Copyright
Legends
or-
stuff, that's the
not
copy strike,
copyright. She worked for them.
Oh, okay.
What were you saying, Dakota?
I think that most of like Steven Crowder, for example, like losing the YouTube revenue, I'm willing to bet it wasn't that huge of a hit for him financially speaking. Like, I don't know
Technically
what it is
speaking,
now.
It's bad though.
Oh no, it's not. It's not good. No, I'm not saying.
Remember
that it is,
last
but
year
I'm-
they had the adpocalypse, or the like YouTube
There's been
changed
a
something
few of them.
overnight, and everybody was
Yeah, it happens pretty frequently.
What do you?
like, right? Well, they were like lifetime YouTubers. You know, I mean, it's lifetime.
I
you
think
get
it
were, like,
started probably like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
they
Where it
started
like
tweaking
every
stuff.
year there's some
PewDiePie
doomsday
dropped
thing.
the
Yeah.
N-word.
Yeah, the big thing that kicked it all off was someone said it was something like that on the video, or it was like an overtly racist channel, a content
that's
creator,
right, and the
and then an ad popped up for like Coca-Cola, and it's now the big worry was Coca-Cola is now associated
Right,
with this
but
horrible
listen,
racist
man,
that
Not
they've
enough
never.
smart- not because
Because
people are
people are
dumb.
dumb.
I was gonna
Don't
say, anybody
realize
with a
that their
brain-
ads are random.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So
They
that was
are?
the big
They
thing.
were.
Ads are not random.
no, they're not random.
They're
No,
based
I
on
mean,
your
I
own
mean,
search
what I meant
history.
was like
They're targeted to the viewer, right?
Right, right.
Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a set full of ads
You're-
that go on to every video, so
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with the channel itself.
This is
Yeah,
a great
exactly
segue
right.
to that basketball thing on Facebook.
Bring it up,
Because
bro.
that's exactly what
Bring it
the
up.
ads are on YouTube.
I
Based
think
off
it's
your search
Talking about
engine,
Dwayne
based off
Wade.
your-
Talking about Dwayne Wade, the
This is-
basketball
it's a
player.
So I mean, listen, I brought this up in the store. I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago. I was like, I think it's really wrong that my phone's listening to me all the time.
You can tell it not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you though?
Yeah, absolutely. It does make life more convenient, so I leave it on.
Sure, but that's your choice.
Exactly.
Right. That it's as long as it's a matter of choice. I, for one,
Right.
don't believe that you can really turn it off. You know what I mean? I
can
think
turn
it's
it off.
like
My phone just
Yeah.
texted me and said, "Please don't turn me off."
what setting would that be?
So I got an iPhone. It's different than an Android. But
Okay.
you
If
go
you- if
into
you
the
go in the
ad settings and
settings-
turn off
Yeah.
use of camera or microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Physically, you turn it off.
It's called a usurp microphone.
Use
no,
of.
usage.
Oh
So
I was like,
when
that is-
the first time you open up Facebook, it asks you to use it.
no, I know. And the thing is, like, my phone came with the Facebook app. I don't use the Facebook app.
I'm well aware.
And because of that, you can't delete it because it came on your
That's
phone.
fine.
that's
but
what I'm saying.
But that's what the whole thing when they brought Mark Zuckerberg to Congress and like drilled him. Like he said,
And
like
he looked like an alien, man. Can we
Well,
just say, like, he
regardless.
did not look like a human being?
looked
Like,
like a
if
robot.
anybody looked like an idiot, it was Congress.
No, an alien.
He said an
Oh,
alien.
oh.
He looked like an
He- no,
no.
he looked like a
Congress was like,
robot.
well, how do you make your money? And he's like,
Jake, or
does not to run
ads.
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 Tony.
We make money by ads.
None of that is
Yeah,
new.
but how do you actually make your money? Ads.
We sell ads.
None
Ad
of that is
space.
new. They always look like idiots.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, that's default look.
it was really funny that he had to answer the same question like 3 times. and-
So
Yeah,
if I type something on Facebook, it shows up in WhatsApp, right?
No.
No. Yeah, but what if I type it in WhatsApp? Shows up on Facebook, right?
Oh, I didn't realize this was a congressional question.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why.
yeah. This,
Yeah.
this
He said because Facebook
Zuckerberg's
owns
congressional
WhatsApp,
here.
they're
Yeah.
like, so like if I'm typing in WhatsApp that I want to go see Black Panther, will I get an ad?
No, all you have to do is say it to your friend in the room, and you'll get an ad for tickets.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Fandango.
But,
Get your,
but he said, but Mark Zuckerberg was like, no, WhatsApp is encrypted. None of the information on WhatsApp is sent to any of our servers. Like, it's not shared with anything. And he goes, yeah, but I know that no one personally does it, but do like the machines talk to each other? That's
dude,
what's said.
that's a totally fair question.
I don't.
That
think
is
so.
a
When
totally
he-
fair
So,
question.
if-
Like
can I-
what?
can I
Had
jump in
they
for a second?
phrased it better, it would have been a good question.
Right, but
So
like,
hold on. When
he's
he
asking
said-
how does the
When he said the servers don't talk to each other, the guy's response was, "Do the machines talk to each
I
other?"
get it. I understand. But okay, it is a totally valid question. Maybe not in
It's
that
a valid
context.
question, but it's not a valid response
Sure,
to the answer.
sure. That just means you're not listening to what he's saying. I get
Well,
it.
regardless, Mark Zuckerberg like explained that you can turn off all these features that for targeted ads on Facebook itself. As for your phone doing it for everything, I believe it's just your app based. Like, so if you're
Yeah.
on Instagram or whatever, you can turn off all of those features that listen to you.
Okay, I'm going to go conspiratorial here. Okay, the FBI did admit, I don't know, several years ago that they can hack your YouTube camera, your laptop camera, and
Yeah.
just watch you. Like they
Yeah.
could just go through a back door and do that. Like they came out and said they could do it. You know, you're a conspiracy theorist if you believe it, right? You could probably find that, right?
Probably.
I mean, I'm
It's
sure
probably
that,
legal
I'm sure
to do the
hackers
Patriot
can do
Act.
a lot of things that are illegal.
Cybersecurity isn't about prevention; it's about detection. So, I mean, they've always been able to do this stuff. We're just getting better at recognizing when it happens.
Right, and,
actually-
and people are starting to become aware that hey, you know, you shouldn't be able to just turn my camera on without my consent.
I
right?
can I
It's-
can break in through your window and watch you sleep. I
It's-
can
right,
do that.
and go to jail for it.
Well, all I'm saying is that
If you get caught.
That's fair.
It's actually
someone
really
can hack
funny.
into your camera and watch you, but that's illegal.
Not only
Right.
are people responding to it, big companies are responding to it. I think it was either Dell or Microsoft. Someone just pushed out a laptop that actually has a switch for your camera, so you can actually it
Unless
has
it's a
kill switch.
physical door in front of the camera, I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
But-
Well,
I
this
mean,
camera
but
that you're
that's-
on right now came with a door that you can flip on the top. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, now I don't bother with it
because he likes being watched.
well, I just unplug it when I'm not using it.
That's a great example of companies actually caring about what their
Exactly.
what their
Yeah.
user
Exactly.
base wants.
I
Like
think it speaks to
Facebook-
conscious, like
Well,
I think
collective
Apple's actually doing
consciousness.
something similar too.
Yeah. So, for instance, with Facebook, they added that new feature where
Oh,
you shake it to
TJ,
report.
Tim, you're gonna love this. Andrew says, "I don't care if they do, and if you have nothing to hide, why should you care?"
that is the worst argument
Yep.
against your invasion of privacy ever.
I
Why do you lock your doors?
I don't. I think he's trolling.
No, he's
No,
not
he's
trolling.
not.
That people really believe that.
A lot of people believe that.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, do you really care about that? Or are you serious?
And
I'm gonna finish my
That-
point.
yeah, that
While
is-
We're gonna wait for him to answer. I want to finish my point. You know how Facebook recently added that shake to report feature, right?
I did not.
I
did
hate,
not.
I hate
Okay,
that.
so they added it, but they
Oh.
also the
Literally all
first
you do
time
is
you
shake the
use
phone.
it, it has a button to where you can just turn it off, because people weren't aware that these features could be turned on and off.
Right.
They're listening to their customers.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know that most of these things are optional. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know you could. I thought you had to delete the Facebook app to keep it from.
Now you go to your
Yeah.
settings to turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom actually logs fully out of her Facebook app every time she.
Does that work?
It should.
So she logs out of her Facebook app. At least she uses it.
I don't get it. I don't know. I feel attacked.
But yeah, no, it definitely happens. Like I'm very careful to make sure that my stuff's turned off. It may or may not be. I think most of it's not malicious. Most of it's just them trying to advertise to you.
That's really what it is, and that's
but-
why I said I left
yeah.
it on, because it does make life convenient. Like,
Sure.
when I'm getting ads
Yeah.
and stuff, I see movies I want to see on YouTube.
But yeah.
now,
You know,
but the thing is,
stuff I'm
you
interested
you choose that, and I'm
Exactly.
total. You know what?
Yeah.
If like he said, he has got nothing to hide. If you want to sleep with your doors and windows open, that's your choice.
No.
But that doesn't mean I have to.
The only well, that's why you can turn it off.
No, I'm not talking like
Oh,
in general.
the only time I think I'd be sorry, I don't want to say that. The only time I think I'd be really scared is if like my laptop was open or my webcam on my computer was just there and I'm sleeping in Spider-Man PJs and then I get an ad
got a yes.
for Iron
Right,
Man
but-
PJs.
okay, but
then I'd be a little scared.
By
But
the
what
way,
about
I
Alexa?
just-
What about
I want
Alexa?
to point out real quick that half of our live viewer base are our girlfriends.
Hey, Bridget.
Yeah, it's just
What? Okay, but what, it's not just your laptop camera, right? Like your phone has a forward-facing camera. So if your laptop can be hacked into, why can't the phone, right?
Well, it can.
I can.
So like,
yeah, absolutely.
they could be, the NSA, whoever you want it to be, could be watching through the. Not that they
but
care.
Hold on. So,
Right.
so if we agree that
true,
it's not
too.
right,
Right.
They
Yeah.
shouldn't
Well,
be
some
able.
of us do.
So we'll say that they shouldn't be able to do it. That doesn't mean they're doing it.
Absolutely, they
know?
probably don't care what I'm doing. Okay.
So I mean, the government could blow up. They could send a nuke to Adrian right now and blow it up.
Sure.
It doesn't mean they're gonna.
Sure.
Yeah, like some things are like because they exist, they can happen. Like
Right, but what
hacking
I'm saying is
into stuff can
I
happen
think I understand.
because
It's-
technology exists.
It's the Superman Batman thing, right? So it's like it's if it could happen, we need to take it like it's an absolute certainty that that'll
Well, no,
happen.
there needs to
That's
be
the attitude.
There needs to be
Chaos
awareness
theory
about
from
it.
Jurassic Park. Exactly.
Yeah, life finds a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
Schrodinger's FBI.
I think we just need to be careful.
Surveillance?
They're both watching
We-
it and
we
not
all need
watching
to
it
be
at the same time.
conscious.
We need to be careful and conscious that the environment that we live in is it's almost ubiquitous spying in a way, right? And like Tony said, it's probably not malicious, but at
Right.
what point does it become malicious? You know what I mean?
When it stops being a choice, I'm guessing.
Oh, it
Well-
stopped
Well,
being a choice a long
I don't
time
know.
ago.
I don't know about a
think.
choice
Well,
because
people
I mean
were
you don't
telling
want
me-
somebody spying on you.
People
Well,
were telling me just don't have a
That's
phone.
fair,
You know.
but
Like that was people's response to me when I brought it up in store that I didn't like my phone listening to me. They're like, "Well, just don't have a phone."
Yeah, no.
no, don't have a smartphone.
But what I mean, a phone is literally to listen. You know what I mean? Like I understand this; it's app based, but like if we're talking just hardware, the phone is literally meant to take what I'm saying
But if it's not
and
connected
relay
to,
it.
if it's not connected to the internet, they're not going to.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying that dumb phones are spying. I'm not talking about overarching spying. I'm just saying it is everywhere. Like people have Alexas in their home that are listening to every word you say because they have to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And I
Because
just
one of them might be, hey, Alexa.
exactly anytime you could say, "Hey,"
I haven't watched
just
it, but there
because-
was like a big.
How many Alexas did
Black
we
Mirror
just
episode
set off at
based
home?
on Alexa.
So yeah, that's a good episode too. You should watch that.
What was
We're plugging Netflix, but just because
Mirror?
Alexa,
Yeah,
for
there's an
instance,
Alexa
Okay.
episode
Black Mirror is
with
so
Miley
good.
Cyrus.
so just because Alexa is listening to at all times does not mean it's recording it either.
sure.
It's a
Although
function
they did
of
just
the-
put
of
in
the
for a
device.
patent to say that they were going to record
So I mean,
like a 30
I completely
seconds.
agree,
again,
Eli.
if
What does he say?
To be fair, your PlayStation and Xbox records.
I
Everything's gonna
understand.
last
if,
10 minutes.
Yeah.
even if a patent is filed, it doesn't mean
I
that it's in
understand.
use.
I
So they
understand.
have to notify you beforehand.
Right.
Right.
All
you have
I'm
to
saying
agree
is
to
that
it.
we need to be
Yep.
conscious and aware that these things are pervasive and they're ubiquitous.
And it is also
Yeah.
important to remember, like, updates. I had an update not too long ago, a couple months ago, and
A year ago.
no, it was,
This is true.
well, I
Eli's comment?
never get ads for anything Dragon Ball Z related because I'm not interested. And we
What?
and it got talked about on the podcast, and I started getting some Dragon Ball Z ads.
I don't believe it.
So I'm like,
So,
uh-oh,
update-
something
okay,
didn't get
reset.
set right.
Interesting
Uh-oh.
side note, just so you guys can know, you can actually unfollow some ads.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they'll
Oh,
still send you
yeah.
ads,
Yeah.
but if you get
Absolutely you can.
like I got sick and tired of getting ads for TikTok. So I was just I was looking through. I was like, is there anything I can do? I was like, oh my
Dude, to be fair, all you're
What
doing
do you do in your lifestyle that you would do an ad for
I
TikTok?
don't
Dude,
know.
I
Dude, I get
got
ads
for
for
TikTok too.
Dude, all
I've
you're doing is
experienced that
refining
too.
your profile for them. When you do that,
But I've
like,
experienced
okay,
that
that's
too,
fine.
where, because Facebook doesn't want
I
to
don't
give you
wanna get-
ads that you don't want to
Exactly.
see.
Yeah,
YouTube
because they
doesn't
want
either.
efficient ads.
So you can close it out, and it'll ask you why you close it. Answer the questions, and they won't show up anymore.
but I mean, you
That's-
guys understand what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
we-
that's
we-
fine. But I'm
Yeah.
like I
You
said,
ever
I'm
had an
okay
ad
with
for
it.
Dwayne
That's
Wade's
why I did it.
highlights?
I don't want to see
Stop
ads
it.
for TikTok.
Yeah.
Everybody who doesn't
No,
know,
I didn't mind
happened
that I saw the
before this
ad.
thing started.
I mind that it was listening to me. So basically, my only issue was it clearly got that from something that was being said in the room.
Yeah.
And that cued me off to, hey, something needs to be turned off. So I did. I think it was
and see
Bixby.
if the default setting is on, so you get an update
Yep.
and it turns it right back on. Like
Yep.
to me, that's nefarious, right? One time you tell you shouldn't have to go through
You
and do it
can't, you
again.
can't jump to nefarious. It could be neglectful.
Yeah.
It's not
I think
necessarily.
maybe-
No,
but
don't
it's-
make that face like it's instantly someone's out to get you.
Well,
It
no,
could have been
not to be out to
neglect.
get you. It's out to better. I mean, if it's strictly for an ad purpose,
But you're-
it's more beneficial for them to have it on.
So-
so
but
if they
you're
automatically
making-
turn it on, even though you told them to turn it off, that's
But you're
nefarious.
making an assumption.
But yeah, what if
It's
an
not.
update
It's
to your
not that a person is sitting in a room who makes that decision make sure you turn it back on.
Right, but
Like an update
You
to a
could
phone
write
could
that
easily
into it,
just
couldn't
say
you?
all apps get updated to their
But you're making
regular
the assumption
form,
that
right?
It did.
Well, it should ask you again.
It absolutely should. I'm not saying
Yeah,
it shouldn't.
but like, but if,
understand your
if
point.
when you
It
when
could
you
be
update
just
your
neglectful.
phone,
Yeah, it
you
was
update your phone, the default
as
setting
bad.
could just be,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
just put the put all the apps back to their default setting when you update your phone. That could not be any nefariousness action. Just like that's the easiest way to make this update happen.
Can we do some kind of time lapse because the mic was here, and Jake's just keeps like he wants me to
you
sit in
know,
his lap.
they do take
I
advantage.
just want to twist it.
I was like, just leave it alone and get closer to it.
They definitely exploit the fact that when you download something, like the last thing you want to do is read pages and pages of fine print, right?
Right.
Like, and we're all guilty of it. Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah, I
and
never,
they can
I
cover
never
their ass
don't
and say
think-
we did it.
So as far as
I never
know,
not think of the South Park episode every single time.
Me too.
Oh yeah.
So as far as I know, when
They can't
I
do
downloaded
that, though.
Instagram,
They can't do
every
that.
time I went to the camera, they would ask if they could have permission. Because if you just swipe right, it goes to the camera.
Right.
He said then they would ask me for permission if they could use the microphone and the camera. And I would, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. So I'd say no, and then go back to just the people I follow.
Time out. We got a really
So
important
they
question
didn't
here.
do it right away.
We have girlfriends not as a direct result from this. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, pre-existing.
And we may lose them because of it.
Yeah.
I'm married. I'm good. My wife's not watching.
Isn't it
so.
Jake's
Good,
microphone?
good catch, Tony.
Touche.
Okay, so
I kind of want to bring something up that was relevant a little bit earlier. We've
Tim,
kind
they can
of strayed
see
away
you.
from it and kind of got off the topic, but so I know Jake knows about it because we've talked about it on the show before, but a long time ago, PewDiePie. He was streaming on I think it was YouTube.
It was YouTube.
Yeah, and someone snuck up behind. I don't know what game he was playing. Like, was it PUBG?
PUBG.
PUBG.
Yeah, it was PUBG.
Some guy came
yeah.
up behind him and he shot him, and then just caught him off guard, and he let it slip. He let the N-word slip. He was like, "Oh, you effing," and said it.
It was bad.
And yeah, it was bad, and he caught a ton of blowback from that. Like he had a
I
contract
think a
that
lot of it was
he was working on with.
rightfully blowback, but
He had like a contract he was working on
Why?
with Disney and like
I don't think it's a
multiple
good
other companies.
representation of his character. But like, if you're in the public eye like that, like
Yeah.
you should be more conscious, especially if you're doing something live.
So pretty much
Yeah,
what
you're in a
happened
public
is like
setting.
he had all these deals set up with these companies, and everybody pulled the plug and they walked away from him.
right, but to be fair,
Totally
his
left him out in
his
out in the
channel is
cold.
like filled with just stupid crap. Like that's, I mean, it's gotten much more interesting the last year or so. But like before,
He's
like it
became
was
more
just
of a commentator than less than
Yeah.
a gamer.
Yeah,
Or
no, but that
best
doesn't
player.
mean people don't have the right to
No,
start watching because he
they
did
do.
something
I
they
just
don't
think
like.
I think it's hyperbolic. Like
No, people can stop watching him if he did select it.
Well-
For him, it was. I don't think it's a good representation of his character.
No, it's
that-
probably not.
But he did lose contracts with YouTube, contracts with Disney, and all this because of this
Contracts with Disney?
Yeah, he did.
He had,
but he
he
lost,
had
he
so-
lost
he had
them.
something in the works with Disney. He was doing his own YouTube Red show, and he lost it all, which is fine. Like they don't want to.
they have the right to
So-
do that.
so-
But
No,
then,
okay,
because
but
of that,
my-
people
pretty much-
Washington Post and stuff write articles defaming him.
Well,
and
now
stuff.
he's a white
Pretty
supremacist because he
much,
slipped
like,
up one time,
Where
right?
I was alluding to this was, do you guys think that all of these other companies and everything, do you think they really should have the right to just be like, whoa, this guy made one mistake? we're
yeah,
done?
it's
yeah.
their
So,
money.
I
I do.
always say like it would be very nice if
I'm interested.
if employers or partners took a
I
more
had a feeling
empathetic
Tony would have something to
more
say.
empathetic approach in every situation and actually like thought about it.
Right, but if the climate wasn't so like, oh my God, the
Yeah.
N-word, you know what I mean?
Why
Yeah,
should
so
the climate be
I've
that
got
way?
something to say too.
Yes.
Yes, Tony,
Oh,
let's hear
what
it.
about James Gunn?
He got hired back.
Exactly.
He did get hired back.
and
yes.
why did he get hired back?
Because he
realized
did
it
Because
was
people
so-
like Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
No,
Um,
because he did some stuff back in the day, and he said some questionable things
Yeah.
when he was younger, and it
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
reflect his actual character now.
Right,
I
but now what did he
100%
say?
agree with you.
Yeah.
110%.
Just because someone slips up, I don't agree
Right.
that the public should give them so much backlash.
Right, but Kevin Hart lost his hosting gig because he made a gay joke 10 years ago or whatever it was.
And
And he
apologized.
There was-
And apologized since.
But who did James Gunn's comments?
No.
What were they geared at?
They were jokes.
What were they geared at?
They were poor tasted jokes of children.
Okay,
But like,
but it's not the hot pot issue right now, right? Like if he had made a black joke or a gay joke, would he have been given the job back?
I think so.
Absolutely.
Do you?
Absolutely.
I don't
know.
think so.
I- no,
to be
No,
perfectly,
I think Kevin Hart
why
is
did
a
he
perfect-
actually get the job back?
so
though?
to be
Did-
perfectly
Kevin,
honest,
Kevin
the-
Hart was offered the job back.
because
Okay.
my
I'm a-
theory, because I haven't read into it, my theory is that he got the job back because no one else can do what he did.
no, that's not
He
the
was,
case
he was
at all.
also incredibly popular too.
Um,
he had a lot of people who wanted him back.
My-
Well,
my-
yeah,
of
yeah, but
fans.
that's part of
How
it.
do you get a word?
I haven't talked in forever. So I don't know.
I have a very strong feeling that they got him back because he was going to work on Suicide Squad. He was going to work for the enemy. He was signed up to make movies for DC.
So they brought him back just because
I mean, that would
okay.
that kind of
Well,
makes sense.
and not to
No, I-
mention,
I
like
get that.
to save face, like you could say, we got rid of his ass.
But there was a lot- there was a lot
It
of
came to light.
factors.
We canned him. You
Like
know, we
Brad-
took
That's what they
action.
did.
like Brad said, like a lot of
Yeah.
the actors and crew said they didn't want to do the next movie.
Yeah,
if he
but,
wasn't
like-
the director.
And a lot of the
A lot of the
fans, too.
fans
A lot of the
said
fans.
they
I think there
don't
was a
care.
petition started that like we
Oh, yeah,
want
there
James
was.
Gunn back.
What he said was
petitions
worse
don't
than
help
what.
you, right?
Petitions do absolutely.
I'm just saying that there was a
nothing.
lot
Yeah,
of
look
support.
at the last episode of Game of Thrones.
Dude, I get it.
Dude,
I'm
I
just saying that there was a
actually-
lot of
I
support.
signed that petition.
Dude, online petitions are basically just a more activist approach to thoughts and prayers. like it does.
I'd say a less religious approach. It means about the same.
Yeah, no, it doesn't amount to anything. Like nothing has ever been changed because they're like,
Personally,
Wouldn't that be
I
crazy?
think
Something
it's a
terrible
less
happened, and then
meaningless
someone
approach.
put up a
I think thoughts and prayers.
thoughts
are at
and
least-
prayers signature.
Thoughts
book.
and prayers at least are like legitimate, like from your
like
okay.
I don't know if they're
from your heart.
not
You know what I mean?
always.
Like-
So is my signature on a
people
petition I
pray
care
I
about
signed
without-
that petition for the
but-
Game of Thrones episode 8 with my heart
That's fair.
and my soul.
That's fair.
But I wanted it done a different way.
Not every person who puts on Facebook thoughts and prayers go out to the
Dude, that's
victims
totally
of
fair.
something. Actually,
I would argue most
Think about
people
it for
put
longer than
thoughts
an
and
hour and
prayers in
pray
a
on
post
anything.
like they're just doing it so people can say, "Oh, look, he's being thoughtful and praying for them."
yeah.
I think it's more like, look at me.
Purchase
Do you guys
your
know
choice.
anybody like
I
that? that's
care
like,
about
look
you.
At me.
Yeah, I do.
I feel like we offended a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people do.
Do you know the?
I'm
the
sure they
praying
do.
Hands
I have no
is
problem.
actually a
That's
high five.
high five, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. People have been high fiving over dead people.
wow, wow, wow.
So okay,
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay,
That's
the
awesome.
Going back to the James Gunn
James
thing.
Gunn thing. Now his comments were they worse than a
So, I think-
stand-up joke performed by Kevin Hart? Were they
Yes.
worse?
They
Probably,
were. They
yeah.
were.
Wait,
they
I'm
were
reading
a
that.
worse
And
joke.
yes.
Oh, that set it off.
Kevin Hart
They were
lost
by
it
far
on
a
a
worse
stand-up?
joke.
It doesn't matter about words,
Yeah, it was a
because
stand-up joke.
If you're in a stand-up, that is taken as comedy, and the only
Apparently
not.
criteria,
Oh
the
my
only
God.
criteria that comedy needs to have is that it's funny.
To someone.
No, that's entirely true.
To
That's
your-
supposed
to
to be
your
a safe.
audience.
Did Mountain
a
Dew
safe-
did Mountain Dew pay
Uh,
for the product placement?
It's supposed to be a safe zone, right?
Right.
You're supposed to be able to talk about social commentary.
It's a free speech zone, if you would.
So
Kind of,
James
yeah.
Gunn decided to use his comedy on Twitter, and the jokes did not land.
So that, to be fair, is a public forum, right? It's not the same thing as a stand-up comedy.
That's fair, but I mean, they're still just jokes in general. So
They
they're
were
still
very
so
bad jokes.
That's fine. they're probably
Yeah, they were
probably
pretty
awful.
bad. They were
Like,
pretty
I'm not
maybe-
agreeing with the jokes, but what I am saying is there's something incredibly different about someone making a joke and someone saying it seriously.
Well, I also think that there's a big
Are you
difference
saying
in
he
some-
said it
someone
seriously?
saying a
no, I'm
joke.
saying he made a joke.
Oh.
I also think there's a big difference. I mean, someone made a joke 10 years ago. Maybe have apologized for it since,
That's
and then is still getting canceled today.
that's another
I
thing.
think
I
that's
wanna
exactly
talk
what
about.
happened to Kevin Hart.
I actually,
that
There
was
needs to be a
entirely
statute of
there's actually
limitations.
something that happened that's far more serious than this. In 18,
shouldn't be.
No, as soon as I said it, as soon as I,
should not.
Yeah,
okay.
it's
As
already covered,
I
bro.
It's
Already
so
covered.
an 18-year-old
that back in.
An 18-year-old kid named Kyle Cashew. He
was like, wait,
he
come
applied
back.
for Harvard. He applied for Harvard. He had, I can't remember. He had like a weighted GPA of like 5.0. He had, I mean, He got in.
Seems really high.
5.0 seems.
Go ahead. No, don't get
Well,
into
it has
it.
something to do with
Go
the
ahead,
way
go
that
ahead,
she
go
beat.
ahead.
But anyway, so he got in.
To Harvard.
Surprised he
Yes,
wouldn't.
exactly. So
They didn't make him the president of Harvard.
He broke the
So,
system.
so here's what happened. 2 years ago, when he was 16, he and his friends had a private Google Doc who that said some really, like they said, they made some really awful jokes, like James Gunn, for instance, and it was at the expense of black people.
I think that's the key. We'll come back to that. Go finish your story.
So I don't have to go in what exactly he said. We can all imagine.
Please do.
But
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think you want me to.
No, I don't.
But
friendly show.
after he already got his exception to Harvard, they pulled it because of what he said 2 years ago. He came out publicly and apologized for it. He was working with the it was like the dean of diversity, whatever's at Harvard.
Dean of Diversity.
Diversity something, I can't
You
remember.
let him tell the story.
But
You got me, Brad.
But
was letting.
they still wouldn't let him back in. They would not let him because of something he did 2 years ago when.
So is Harvard technically a for-profit institution?
No, I don't think so. They're supposed
So
to
I
be
mean,
public school.
that's kind of.
Wait, what?
Harvard? They're not
Yeah.
private school.
They're not
public-
private, but
they're
there's a
public
lot
school.
of profit there.
Well, I understand.
I don't know how
I
it
understand
works.
that profit is being made.
I-
but the
they're
intention
publicly
behind it
funded.
I don't
They're
know.
publicly
Exactly.
funded.
I don't know if
So, I
Harvard
mean,
makes a
There's like
profit.
4
They're-
colleges in the
they're
country that
professors
are
and
publicly funded.
administrators.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just knew there were
Yeah,
some.
Hillsdale's actually one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I only know that because of the Title IX thing. Like Hillsdale
Any-
doesn't have to abide by Title IX because
Anyways,
Anyway.
you know, like
interesting.
I'm sure
debate.
that shouldn't have happened. Then,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Like if it was a private institution, they should be able to do whatever they want.
Absolutely.
Oh, if we only had a document that preserved our right to speak freely.
But the point was.
Damn you.
You're
You're
allowed
have-
to say that.
Here you
You're not
have
allowed to
a
ask for
young
that.
adult, still pretty much a child in some ways. And 2 years ago, when he was legitimately a kid, said some horrible things.
In
Could
private.
be- In private.
In
exactly.
private.
In
That
private.
is the word.
And in
That's
jokes.
if
And they
it's
went
on the
public.
internet.
No, okay. So now do you?
But here's the key. All right, he made the case that he's changed since then, and Harvard legitimately admits felons. They've had people who have served hard times or hard time for terrible crimes getting accepted to Harvard, but they can't accept someone who said some horrible things a couple years ago.
In private. Okay, so
Yeah,
do-
the same thing happened to a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, it's
They wanted
ridiculous.
him to.
It's
That is
ridiculous.
absurd.
It was
Yeah.
recent. It was like either not this year, but the year before. When he was like 14 or 15 years old, he had something on Twitter that was distasteful.
he was a
And-
minor.
and
Was
the-
it? Was it?
they wanted-
Cleveland's guy.
Listen, if we devolve into sports, I'm gonna have to check.
Okay,
out.
now-
I'm
I-
pulling a Game of Thrones, Brad.
It's at least connected.
I do. There, a couple years ago, Donald Sterling. Are you familiar? You probably remember this.
Oh
Actually,
yeah,
yeah, I
Donald.
think-
Oh yeah, I
okay,
know Donald.
okay. So
Yeah,
he
no.
owned. He was this old dude, right? Like
yeah,
he was
I
like
know what you're talking
he was majority owner of the Clippers, the LA Clippers, right? They're gonna show up on your phone later. You're welcome. So he was
Dwayne Wade versus the Clippers.
he had a black girlfriend, right? And apparently he was racist, right? Like he was a sugar daddy to this woman, right? And apparently he said racist things. So one time he got drunk and she recorded him against his knowledge
in the privacy of his home.
in the privacy of his home.
That's illegal.
What state?
Well, now this was in
California.
California.
That's
This-
single. That's two-party consent, isn't it?
Right. What's that?
Two-party consent in California.
I think so.
I have no idea.
I think
the
it
point
is.
is, he said some things that you could say were racist, right? Like he was talking about the players, like how he does so much for them, and like they're ungrateful, and he doesn't want them at their games, so they're like, oh, he
Seems
doesn't
true.
want what?
Seems true.
He said
I,
they turned it into he doesn't want black people at his games. Like his team is literally 90% black.
I don't think that's what it was. I think he didn't want her hanging out.
Yeah, that's what it stemmed from, right? Like he was jealous that his 20-year-old girlfriend, who was
hanging
60
out.
years younger than him, was hanging out with
God.
the 20-something-year-old.
Because they need two phones to show it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God.
So now, but the point is, she released that tape, and the NBA made him sell his portion of the team because of the comments he made in his own home.
I forgot who
They
what
made
comedian
him
did
sell
it.
his team.
I think it might have been Daniel Tosh that
A
brought him
billion-dollar
up.
asset
And
that he
was-
controlled. They made him sell it.
He was. I think maybe it was Bill Burr. Daniel
They
Tosh.
did?
They brought him up.
Well,
They brought him up, and he was like he was I think it was Bill Burr. He goes, he was raised in like the 50s. Of course he was a little racist. And he's like, but what he said wasn't really that racist.
No, it wasn't that
and
bad.
He goes, he should be held from the timeline he grew up in. He should be given an award for how much restraint he's had.
He even like talked about how much he
pretty
loved
funny.
the players in it, didn't he? He's
But-
like, I love those guys, but I don't basically want you hanging out with them.
Let me just say,
So
like,
he's
this,
like
this
your
is
softcore
awful.
grandpa racist, right?
That
He's
is
old.
horrible. It happened.
Yeah.
He's very old.
He
He's like
was,
in his
he was
80s.
80, like you said,
People
what, 20,
applauded
30
it.
years ago. Like, he's
People
probably dead now.
applauded that, and they're like, "Oh, the NBA is doing such a good job." Like they stole that man was stolen from. $1 billion asset was stolen
Yeah,
from.
kind
it
of.
was-
No,
I'm
not
guessing-
like that.
Hold on, Tim. Let's be a little bit more reasonable about this.
He was in his own home.
Hold on. Let's cool it for a second. That's coming from me. All right.
Very
Okay,
loudly.
guys, he's right.
All right. So listen. He probably had a signed agreement with the NBA regarding some of the stuff.
Saying
you
that
can't
in his
say
own
anything in
home,
your
he
own
couldn't
home?
say racist
Yeah,
stuff.
I was trying to get to that point. It's a private business. They probably have clauses that there's things that they
Thank
say.
you.
They can't
So
just
it-
force him to sell something. He had to have agreed to something that.
No,
that
I
led him
understand.
to that
I understand. Like
Thank you.
it is a
Yeah.
privilege to own an NBA team, but the
I'm not talking about privilege. I'm saying
that
he-
should not be
it-
legal. That should not
Why?
be legal.
Why
Why
not?
not?
No, not necessarily
not
that.
that, but, like,
the
yeah.
NBA, because now he's a liability. It's no different than you saying stupid at work or even off the clock, and people know who you are, and you being fired for it.
So, but
It's no different.
Fun
So,
fact.
but at least
I almost was.
Exactly,
But-
but at least he got $1 billion for it.
well, no, I don't know what he
but
got.
He sold it. I mean,
if you are part of a corporation and you, it's not really like being employed, but it's say like it's like YouTube, right? And YouTube says if you put a video up and it's got somebody else's music in it, you're not going to make money,
Right,
right?
right.
So if he signed that agreement that he made racist comments and they find out about it and it's in the public arena, however it made
Right.
it there, why
Right,
is that not okay?
but you can't.
Guys, we're
but you
getting some
can't-
good comments on Twitch here.
You can't bring
I think.
to
can't read 'em.
court. Okay, so something that's obtained.
Was it in court?
No, I'm
was-
just. I'm,
so then it-
no, I'm just giving an example. You can't use evidence in court that was obtained illegally, right?
But it was
Right.
in court.
No, but what I'm saying is he had ground to stand on where he could have gone against the NBA and said, "Listen, I said this. First of all, I was drunk in my own home and recorded against my
But
knowledge."
The important thing is that he chose not to.
Unfortunately,
Sure.
the drunk part's not really
Well, I mean,
anything
he was
to stand on.
he was 80 years old and he was probably like Brad
He
said.
probably
He got,
didn't wanna deal with
He
it.
probably got a good payday and
Yeah.
he didn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But the point is, what she did was illegal.
because he only had one phone to show this thing.
But he's also a billionaire, so like, who cares?
So someone said.
Hey,
so someone
Tony's
said,
wondering if you got your basketball shoes, Brad.
no. Hey, Tony.
Tony,
We
you
got
should
it. It's
play.
a third. It's a third.
Okay,
Tony.
let's
So
talk
someone
about these
said
comments.
Producer Tony. We
so-
got Hat Tony, and we got.
Hat Tony.
He's always wearing a hat.
Who says hat? No,
It's comic book Tony.
the
hat-
best Tony.
Unbelievable. Okay,
Yeah,
what
we're
are the
gonna-
comments?
Never
we're gonna
met
go
that
back
Tony.
to
I'm
Hat
so
Tony.
intrigued about these
says
comments. I can't read
racism
them.
is unacceptable. Whether it is in your home or not, a racist is a low-life scum, and I do not care what befalls him. That's perfectly fine. He
But he wasn't
We're
being
not asking for
racist.
anyone's empathy over a racist.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah,
asking
that's-
about
Nobody's defending racism either. I want to
think
make
we're
that
defending
clear.
Yeah.
rights of just any arbitrary person that hasn't committed.
What if you tell
real
a
crime.
racist joke
I think
in your home?
even if it has
I think
nothing
that
to do with
hasn't
race.
committed a crime, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it has
Exactly.
nothing to do with race, if it's,
Freedom
if
of
it's some
speech
other
is
kind
important.
of.
Then we say that
It
I'm
is.
allowed to think and say what I feel, as long as I'm not calling to action. Right.
Yeah.
So
Causing direct harm.
that doesn't mean I'm good. That doesn't mean I'm bad. It's a right for me being alive.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, so public perception, like everyone can think Donald Sterling is a scumbag. That's
Yep.
fine. No, that's he's
See,
a,
nobody
he's
cares
a,
anymore.
He's a scumbag. He is.
It was literally a flash in a pan incident.
He's a scumbag. So
I don't know that he's a scumbag. I know that he got.
I don't know. I don't know. This is all I know
Screwed
about
on
him.
this.
So
regardless, I think it's more so us highlighting the rights of a
incident.
human being that hasn't committed a crime. So that I think that's what we're talking about, not necessarily that.
Yeah, that's-
he is.
He goes, fellas, you might
not a
want to talk
scumbag."
about contrast paint.
I love this stuff. The more
But yeah,
devices, the better.
and here's the thing though too. The NBA has a right to associate with whoever they wish to.
That's fair, but like
yeah,
and that's their First Amendment.
right. Well, sure, but
you
he
lose
also
a lot
had.
when aren't they a nonprofit or are they not?
No, they're
don't
for
know.
profit.
Oh, they
Only
are?
the
How-
NCAA is nonprofit.
If
And that's
they-
a whole
if
nother
someone said
conversation.
The NBA was nonprofit.
The
My
NCAA,
eyebrows are gonna go
the
up.
NCAA is nonprofit.
And they make a lot of money.
They sold the rights to their basketball tournament in 2011 for $12 billion. That's just basketball. That was in 2011. I don't know what it is now, but they're nonprofit. They pay no taxes on that money.
Seems legit.
The highest paid employee in every state except for Hawaii and Alaska is, you guessed it, a football coach.
But what are they in Hawaii and Alaska?
I don't know.
Then your statistics are invalid.
It's 49 out of 48 out of 50, bro. That's got to mean
The
something.
NCAA are some petty penny pinchers too, because
Hey,
that
what did I say
whole-
about sports?
that whole football thing where they're making millions, billions of dollars off the NCAA games because using the likeness of the college players,
Thanks, Ed O'Bannon.
using college
You nobody
using
basketball
actual
player.
college athletes on the cover, and then they're like, "No, we'll just stop making the games then. No, we don't need to pay anybody." Like,
Listen, man, I am totally against college athletes getting paid.
Hey,
Totally
somebody's
against
asking,
it.
What's the new
MTG
menu?
You're against
questions.
college athletes
Totally,
getting paid?
100%
I think
against
they
it.
did the right move
Absolutely.
because
If you want to get paid, get a job like the rest of the student body.
no, look,
That's how I feel
think
about
it's
it.
fine. But if someone's capitalizing off of me, unfair and other avenues, other
They're not
medias,
capitalizing off you. You
they
got a
were.
scholarship. You got to go to school for free.
Yeah.
You got free
Which
food and clothes and
I think
insurance.
academic scholar or
So they
like,
can
academic
use
scholarships
your-
for sports,
When you sign up for
I
a
think
football
they're
team, they
wrong.
can
I
sell your
do not
pictures
what's wrong?
any way they want. And
It-
any medium.
it depends.
scholarships for sports.
It really
Absolutely
it
wrong.
really,
I do not agree with them at all.
it really depends. So
Why?
Why?
Why should sports
Let me ask you this.
award scholarships?
You sign up for the football team. They sell calendars with your face on them and make $1 million off
Do you
of
get
it.
do you get half of the gate receipts for all the people that came to
Well,
watch the game?
What I'm asking is like,
Do you make money from the
This is
concessions?
different. This is
I'm going
different.
to back you up here. So Tim's point was that do you get half the ticket sales, right? So if Jake's playing, are those people going to come or not? So if they're there by the direct result of his ass being in the seat,
I would say college is less. I would say college is more about the tradition
the
of
tradition
the
and the
institution.
team. But that's not the same thing as a calendar.
No, I understand.
Or
I understand.
video game with you on the cover.
likeness.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, all you have to do is say, "I don't want to
that's
be on the
all.
calendar."
That's all private.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all private stuff. I don't know.
they've
how-
done that.
I know, but
Right.
I don't know how they get the right. Like
Are
as
they-
a school, you get the rights to the player.
Are they having them sign
They
releases?
don't. That's why they lost and had to stop making the game.
Oh, okay. Well then.
But they didn't
perfect.
have to stop making the game. They just, instead of putting halfback number 5, they could have just said whatever. They could have
They had to
made
make-
generic
They had
stats
to
and
make
players.
22 people that looked exactly alike and not represented anyone that's actual real.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
That's fine.
Exactly.
They could have done that. They should have done that.
No one would have bought that.
Yeah, they would have, because the community would have went through and said, "That's Reggie Bush, dog." As they did it anyway. People went through and named those whole
Jason
rosters
said that he
anyway.
is against Acropolis employees getting paid.
That's not the same. That is okay. I didn't realize which Jason was. No, that okay. No, seriously.
Sorry,
like,
Jake.
why would?
I've gotta agree
Why
with
does a college athlete need to be paid? You're literally not getting paid for this anyway. Why would you get up and
I'm
leave?
not getting paid ever. I'm out.
Well, it all very much depends on what he's being paid for.
I have absolutely
That-
no opinion about this.
That-
Okay,
I-
so you
wanna
got a
talk
college
Game of
degree.
Hey,
Yeah.
you want to talk about Game of
Yeah.
Thrones?
No, hang on. Let's flesh this out, bro.
No, not again.
So listen, you
Peter
okay?
Dinklage.
I was not a college athlete. I know, shocking, right?
No, everybody
So
gets it.
I took my major was sport management, which that's right.
Mistake.
which guess this, a lot of the athletes were into sports management. So, shocker, right? Anyway, there was an introduction
problem.
to sport management class.
So you weren't a college athlete and into sports management?
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying, Jake.
At any rate, right, there was an introductory class to get into the coursework for the major, right? Most people can't take it until their junior year. Athletes get priority and can take it as freshmen, right?
Okay.
And then, which is bullshit right there. Like, why do
is.
they get priority to the introductory class? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's literally no reason other than they're athletes.
Okay.
And then when you're in that class, you had to buy a $50 subscription to a sports business journal, right? For the class.
Okay.
All the athletes were like, well, we'll get you a voucher for that. You don't need to pay for that because you're an athlete. So
Okay.
you're saying on top of that, those people should be paid to play their sport.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No,
Yeah.
They're
like,
already being
What I'm saying
compensated.
What are
If
you
they-
trying to convince me of? Because I said I don't care either
No, I'm
way.
just laying out a scenario.
Like I
Okay.
said, it all depends on what you're being paid for. So if you should not be be getting paid for to play the sport for the college. But if someone's using your likeness,
Sure.
that's not, especially that's
Sure.
not the college, like EA Sports, you need to be
It's in the game.
compensated for that.
Sure.
Like, that's
so don't put in
ridiculous.
halfback number 5 that's clearly Reggie
I
Bush.
agree. I absolutely agree. Now here's
an
my
agent.
here's my issue with college scholarships for sports. That's dumb. There's no reason they are going to school for sports management while there's kids who could play the sport slightly worse, but are probably a lot smarter and can get a better degree. Like that's insane.
This is kind of why I'm
That is kinda
against
stereotypical.
scholarships for sports.
I'm
Like,
okay with scholarships for sports.
Mike, they're
but
already
there has
being
to be
compensated,
an
though.
academic purpose for it.
wait, what are you
There's not-
talking about?
That's my.
Mike
that's
said he's got
insane.
millions of reasons they should be paid. They're already being compensated.
Yeah, they're
You know,
being,
what does a college
like
degree
I said,
cost?
it all depends. It all depends, especially the investment too. Like how much money you're.
Jason, I tried to get them to talk about Magic. They won't.
I don't want to.
We don't wanna talk about
I don't
Magic.
want
Talk about
to.
Magic.
I would love for you to talk about Magic.
I wouldn't.
Hey, there's a new pre-release for the new Corset.
Yeah, let's
20
talk about
coming out
Magic
this
for a
weekend.
minute.
Actually, that is worth bringing up.
Friday night at 7 p.m. pre-release.
Well, sorry, folks. It's 10 o'clock. It's time to go.
No, actually, that's a very special one. It's the first one,
First time we're able to do a pre-release
killed
before midnight on Friday.
and we don't have to leave here at 7 a.m. We're super pumped about it.
So we're doing it at 7 p.m. Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you mute his mic?
I didn't realize that you were
they miss
announcing
that whole
something.
thing? You muted my whole mic. Back to the censorship
Unmute
thing.
me.
You're unmuted now.
Censor me, Tony.
You're unmuted now.
Corset
good.
20 Friday night pre-release 7 p.m. Not at midnight. 7 p.m. Be there
I'm
How
sorry.
late do
I
you
didn't realize you had
envision
an
that going?
announcement.
till midnight.
Till midnight.
7
7 to
a.m.
midnight?
I mean, probably. Yeah, that makes sense. 7 to midnight.
Really?
It's usually 5 hours.
a
Well,
math major.
an hour to build, 4 hours for rounds.
He's a math
right.
dropout.
I mean, I usually get out of
Hey.
5.
I'm just stating
Whoa.
I'm just stating a
I
fact.
went,
I'm
to,
sorry.
I went to 9/10 of college and I aced all my math classes.
Shots fired.
Don't bring magic into this,
and then
Tony.
you dropped out. It's okay. I'm not judging you.
It
All right,
sounded
guys.
a lot of
I'm
judging.
just stating a fact.
You
That's
did-
all.
he
He's
did
not
lay it down
he's
with
not
some
a
heat.
graduate.
All right, so
know what
listen,
he's talking
this was a good show.
This was a very, very, very good show.
We were all over the place.
This-
but I
Oh
liked
my
it.
god, especially at the beginning.
All over each other, too.
What's that?
All over each other, too.
Over
Yeah,
here.
yeah. There was
specifically.
some good
Hey,
conversation.
he didn't have to bite my tongue off, so I'm happy.
I didn't want to see that.
Whoa.
I did.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for
That's why
watching.
you
We'll see you
brought
next
it
week.
up.
We don't know where we'll be set up, but we'll be here at
If it's
same
90
bat
degrees
time,
outside,
same bat
we'll
channel.
be right here.
Oh, Ian, you showed up at the perfect time, bro.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Fricker time. Time to go to Frickers, because I don't.